Preparing to live stream. Okay, I think this is working. Hello there. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday again. Thanks for tuning in and being here today. It's Sam with another video for you. If you didn't already know, I'm here with fantasy author Talis Jones to talk about reading, writing, publishing, and more. Hey, Talis, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Thanks so much for joining us. Talis is a fantasy author and has written a number of different books and series, including a monster-filled tale called the Fifth Sun series. Is that right?
Yep.
But I'll let you tell her. I'll let her tell you a little bit more about those in a minute. I'm very grateful that Talis has graciously agreed to be here with us today, answer some of our questions. So as always, I have some questions prepared, some things I want to talk about. I've looked into your work a little bit before this. There's a lot of it. I haven't read it all, but if you're a fan, a reader, an aspiring author, whatever, and you're watching along, or maybe just a friend of Talis, whatever, or maybe all the above, post your questions in the chat about reading, writing, publishing, sci-fi fandom, or any of those topics, because we want to hear from you too. So thanks for listening and post your best questions. Okay, so Talis, so usually when I start off these talks, when I kind of get authors doing them in beforehand and such like that, I'll ask, and I asked you this, what's kind of the one work you want to focus on? And some people only have like one book out, like their debut novel, and that's obviously the work they have, and that in itself is a good accomplishment. But when I looked at your website, you have not just multiple books, but multiple series. Is that right?
Yeah.
You've been quite prolific. I don't know how old you are, but relatively young, and that's something that a lot of people haven't accomplished yet. So I wonder if you could just give us a quick overview of, well, any of your work. I mean the Fifth Sun series, but just maybe a quick overview of some of the other ones too, and tell us all about those for those who aren't familiar.
Yeah, sure. I have 3 finished series, and one is Otherworld, and that's like a young adult fantasy series. Then I have Walking Shadows, and that is a dystopian sci-fi kind of series, a bit post-apocalyptic. Some of it has some Western, like Wild West vibes. And then, yeah, my latest series that I've finished publishing this year is Fifth Sun, and that is urban fantasy set in Mexico.
Okay, wow. And so they're all like fantasy-ish, or
yeah, it's all kind of sci-fi fantasy in that umbrella.
You said one is dystopian. I guess it's kind of sci-fi.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, a lot of us like that. I like that. I think the gamut of our viewers and our potential audience are all into that kind of thing. So that's cool. So it's those 3 series, and then you said three finished series. Do you have other things you haven't finished yet, or like other books on the sidelines that aren't part of those series?
Yeah, well, that's all I have like published right now. What I have set up next.
Oh, that's all. Okay.
Yeah. That's it. That's all that's out now. Everything else is like a work in progress. Like that's coming up next, like next year kind of thing.
Okay. Wow. Well, it sounds like you've got quite a lot out there, and I mean, there's what? Are there 5 books in the Fifth Sun, and
yeah, there's 5. Yeah, there's 5 books in Fifth Sun, and then there's 5 books in Walking Shadows, plus like 2 novellas and some short stories, and then the fantasy one is just a trilogy. That's just 3 books.
So like 13 full-length novels that you've published at a young age. That's awesome. Many of us haven't done 1 or 2 yet, so you're making it. It sounds like that's really cool. You're living the dream. I mean, I'll let you speak later, but yeah, you are well on the journey, it sounds like, and doing things that many of us haven't. So that's really cool. Congratulations to you. I'm curious, how did you get interested in sci-fi fantasy in the first place? What are the books or movies or stories or whatever that inspired you?
Probably things that are in common with a lot of people, because I grew up with Harry Potter.
Yeah,
that was my whole childhood. Chronicles of Narnia, classic, and like my dad introduced me to Star Wars, so I was always been kind of in that world, and I mean it's just so much more fun than real life.
Those are the common ones I hear from a lot of people. I mean, those plus Lord of the Rings and stuff, but I'm like, that's because they're the big ones that have affected so many people because they're good. Yeah,
they're great. Yeah,
very cool. Any others? I mean, I'm sure you've read a lot, but like any that you maybe not as many people would know.
Oh gosh, I mean, not like originally. Originally, I start out with all the big, the big name ones. And stuff. and then after that, as you get older, you kind of find out your own things. And, like Hunger Games came out. That was great. They had a whole big kind of young adult run for a while of books and movies coming out with the Hunger Games, Maze Runner. Like they had all that stuff coming out, and that was fun. So
it's a good generation. It's been a good time to be a reader or a nerd, if that term still applies to sci-fi fantasy fans. Yeah, great time for that. What about like not just ones you enjoyed, although there's that too, but are there any authors or creators who have like specifically inspired you, who you've tried to emulate either consciously or subconsciously in your writing? Anyone that who you would say is, I don't know, maybe an inspiration to you, or has like been the basis for some of your creative ideas?
I don't know anyone specifically. It's kind of just taking inspiration by being like reading all these books and stuff and feeling like they're real. They're so close to being real and wanting to do something like that. So no one like necessarily specific, like this inspired me to write this.
Right.
But just that kind of feeling and that kind of thing, and kind of learning there's no bounds, you can do whatever you want. So
yeah, that's cool. It's the whole thing of not being confined to reality and just being able to use your imagination. What are you reading right now? Anything interesting?
Oh, sorry, what? My connection was funky.
All right, what are you reading right now? Anything
Oh.
interesting?
Yeah, well, actually, I don't know. I started, I haven't started.
Are you one of those people who like reads multiple books at a time, or do you have just one, you gotta have to finish it?
Sometimes, but mostly I kind of just fixate on one and I'm stuck in it forever. Because I just finished the newest Mercy Thompson book by Patricia Briggs, which is like urban fantasy. And then my book club, we're reading The Demon King or whatever. I don't, by what's the name? Cinda Williams Chima? I don't know how to say it. I haven't read it, so it's a fantasy.
Okay, I'm not familiar. I mean, it looks like one of those. It's like maybe also is he a young adult?
I think it's young adult.
Yeah, it looks like a series, like some of those series we're just talking about, Hunger Games or Maze Runner.
Yeah, it looks good, so we'll see.
Okay, but fantasy-ish is fantasy sci-fi is usually your genre.
Yeah, that's my main. I read pretty much any subgenre in that as well. I think the only things I tend not to read is like nonfiction. I don't read a lot of that. I read some, and then I don't really enjoy horror or like sad books. You know what I mean? Like the authors that are like, I'm gonna write books that just make you cry, and that's the point. I don't like those.
Escapism you need some positive escapism in your life. I get that. I'm not a big horror person. I make some exceptions, but it's not my big thing either. So I get it. Yeah. Well then, okay, if you weren't inspired by any particular author, I wonder if you could tell us like what inspired you that maybe to write Fifth Son, because I think you said that's like monsters in Mexico. Is that
yeah, it's that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think I read and you have some Mexican heritage, don't you? Okay. Was can you tell us about that? Like, was that based on your life or your experiences, or just your cultural knowledge at all?
Yeah, that was I had a friend that convinced me to go back and like watch the Vampire Diaries, like the show. And I was kind of watching it and I was thinking like there's tons of vampires and werewolves and paranormal and all that kind of stuff out there, but it all seems to be based for the most part on like European myths. And I thought it'd be interesting to do some other origin, for that kind of thing. So then I thought Mexico, because that's where my mom's from. So, that felt like natural, and they have tons of myths that kind of fall into that same category as well. So I thought it'd be fun, take this popular fun genre, but set it somewhere different, and explore all that. So.
Okay, that's cool. Did you have to like do research into what their myths actually are? I mean, some of that culture and stuff.
Yeah, some of it I kind of knew just from my mom, or, whatever, but like some stuff I ended up researching more of to get more of those details to kind of fuse it with my fictional culture that I put in there, like because there's magic and all this stuff. So it's kind of a fusion.
Okay, but you still say it's less horror, more fantasy?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, great. So is it more like you said it's like, is it the monsters, is it like vampires, werewolves, or something like that?
Um, it's like kind of category. Instead of them just being vampires or werewolves, they have different names and
Names.
stuff
Okay.
like
Okay.
that, you know. And so, but like yeah, like the whole witches and magic and that kind of stuff.
The first book is called, well, if I remember my high school Spanish well enough, the first book is Revenge de los Muertos, which is Revenge of the Dead. So is it
Yeah.
like zombies or pseudo
Um,
zombies?
Almost. Yeah, a little bit. It takes place on the Day of the Dead. Well, like not the whole book, but it's around that season and kind of the climax is Day of the Dead, that holiday. So I kind of tied in some of that holiday and the traditions with what's going on in the plot and like the bad guys and what's going on. So
Okay, cool. Sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, I hesitate just casually throw out, oh, I'm gonna add that to my TBR pile because you know how big
oh,
TBR piles get, but
mountain.
that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. So I do want to keep it in mind. I'm getting a few comments from the chat. Just our friend, I think our mutual friend Sarah. Actually, I've had her on here before. Sarah Blackwell
Yes.
says she doesn't like sad books either, or horror too much. So I think we're hitting our audience just right. But she said she loved the series, like your series, I guess, and the fact that you were outside the box makes it so unique and cool. So there you
Thank
go.
you.
Yeah, that's there's a live review from another author. There you go.
Yay.
Yeah, thanks for watching, and I mean we're still going, but like continue asking your questions in the chat, and we will, keep this going. I'll shift gears a little bit. We talked about writing styles and just review of your genres and stuff. Now I know a lot of us kind of have the dream of making it as a published author, whatever that means. But a lot of us are not there yet, and many public, I'd say probably most published authors these days still have jobs and definitely lives and things like that. So tell us what occupies you during the day besides just writing, and then how do you find the time or the balance to devote to so much writing and editing?
Well, fortunately, unfortunately, I have a lot of time
Okay,
um on my hands right now because it's kind of like, well, fortunately, because a lot of my jobs previously are like I can like right now I'm actually dog sitting.
cool.
So it's stuff like that where it's very flexible schedules. So I mean I can write as long as there's a computer with me, I can work
Yeah,
on it. You know what
and the dogs are being quiet enough, or don't need to
I mean? Oh
go
yeah.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's kind of like I tend to have jobs like that, so it makes it easier to have the time. But yeah, usually I have to do it like first thing in the morning because I'm a morning person, but also like if I wait until like after lunch, I mean my brain's just done.
yeah. No, that makes sense. I wish I could do that. I have to go to work in the morning, so I can't always do that. But I feel like I would be freshest if I was writing in the morning.
Yeah.
Then I mean, this is kind of getting into the later question maybe, but like with the books you publish, like are you able to with your published books and like dog sitting pretty much, is that like making a living for you? If I can ask, if you don't mind me asking.
Not yet. I wish. I mean, I used to do because I had like multiple jobs, like doing like social media for companies and website stuff. Like I had a kind of a lot of stuff that you can do remotely
Right, right, right.
but then there's like COVID and all these kind of things dried up.
That
So
did throw people for a loop. Yeah.
yeah, so not at the moment.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're on the journey like the rest of us. You mean
Yep.
maybe in some ways further along, but I mean, I didn't want to assume or pry too deep into financial things, but I was like, I mean, it sounds like you're able to devote a lot of time to that, and you've put out a lot of content, so that's awesome.
They say how they have that thing like 20 to 50K or whatever.
Like
But
followers or
like they say like if you publish 20 books by then you make 50,000 and I'm like, okay, well that sounds like something that might work for romance authors.
Mhm.
But I can dream.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know what the ratio is. I know it's hard to make a living unless you've hit it big. I mean, unless you're like um Brandon Sanderson, or who's a romance author. Stephanie Meyer. Well, maybe we won't go there. Maybe we won't compare you to her. But yeah, I know it takes time, it takes effort, and then it takes some luck too. I mean, there are lots of very good authors who, for whatever reason, don't make it big, as big as everyone else. It's just I don't, I haven't learned the secret yet. If I had, I'd probably be there, and I'm not yet. So yeah, but you're on the journey. That's cool. So I'm glad you have the time to devote to it. I know sometimes it's like more time equals less money, but
Yeah, yeah.
um, that's the curse of life. Anyway, but cool. Um, yeah. So and you shared you're part of the process, like you. That's right in the mornings, and that you have that flexibility there. That's good. Not everyone has that. What are your biggest struggles with the craft of writing or editing? Or usually when I ask people their biggest struggle they say like time management, which is why I kind of asked that question first. But like, as far when it comes to the actual craft of writing, or either writing or the writing process, which includes editing and stuff, what do you think is the hardest part for you and your stories?
Um, I'm a bit of a I'm more of a plotter than a pantster or
Okay,
whatever.
so
So
am I.
and that of course I work so hard on this outline, and of course once I'm writing it, the characters do what they want. But but I like to have it figured out, and then I get really frustrated sometimes, like in the middle sections. That's the hard because it's like I know how it starts, I know how it ends, and sometimes figuring out how to connect the two, gets a little
Yeah.
frustrated.
So do you typically make like an outline beforehand then?
Yeah.
Okay. I do that too, or at least a rough outline, but then things veer off from your outline. So like when you write a series, did you begin it already knowing like where you wanted the series to go, like all 5 books, or do you just kind of take one book at a time, or start off and then see where it goes?
Yeah, I have a general idea for the whole series, like where I want it to begin and end, and then I know at least like I kind of write down like a word vomit, like idea, blurb for each book of the general gist of what's going to happen and what point I want the characters to be at for each one. So I might not have like every chapter figured out at the very beginning, but I know where it's going.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
that's good. That's kind of what I do too. I'm like I can picture the end. I don't know all the details of how we get there, but I can picture where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Um, Now you said being a plotter, or I asked you kind of the hard part. So you said being a plotter, but then the hard part is like things don't stick to your plan, and things take off a life of their own. Is that it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's usually for the better when they take a life of their own
Right.
and deviate. It's usually for the better. But of course, then I have to go back and because now some of my outline doesn't work anymore. So
To revise things. You're like, behave, children.
yeah, yeah.
Your characters, and then they don't.
Yeah.
You get frustrated when the plan doesn't come quite together, and I mean, often it's for the better. There's that balance of flexibility there. Now, I understand. I'm also a um, yeah, I'm also a planner, but yeah, it's a balance there. Sarah said she's not getting any, or sorry, no, someone Richard said he's not getting any audio. I hope it's been fixed now. I did turn it on mute for like 2 seconds, so I turned myself on mute, but I think they should have still heard you. But can people at home, people watching, can you hear us? Thumbs up if you can hear us, because I think it's working. I thought it was, but okay. Hopefully everyone can hear. I mean, people have been commenting so far, so maybe the problem is just on one person's end.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you shared about the hard part for you. Then what is the one thing, or hopefully more than one thing, but like what's the what do you think is one of the major strengths of your story, or what's the one thing that your books do really well?
Oh, it's so hard. I think, at least for me, I think I get everything's moving, and each chapter moves, everything's moving, something's happening. It kind of keeps that energy.
This is your chance to sell it and really make people want to read it. So yeah,
But and I have had some people say they don't like that. They want it to be a little like they want it to be slower. They're like, well, I want more description. What were they feeling? What were like every moment? Like what did they eat? Who are they eating with? What did they think about they ate? And to me, I'm just like, I don't care.
so it's fast paced. Uh, I'm curious. Fast paced, minimalist description. I'm curious, like about how long is each one of your novels? Like how many words, roughly?
Let me think. They're usually somewhere between like 360 to 400 pages.
Okay, yeah. I know, like my friends who have gotten published, and I've talked to an agent, so I'm trying to figure that out. They've told me to target like maybe 100,000 to 120,000 words, and or something like that. And my initial draft was much longer than that, so I'm now trying to kind of cut it down. Um, but yeah, so so when you say that, I assume that 300 to 400 pages is the average length. I'm not sure exactly what
I
that
think
comes
so,
to, but
especially for like young adult, I think, and that's
yeah.
most of what I write, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good length, but yeah, you're not getting bogged down in all the descriptions, because then you'd be like, I don't know, J.R.R. Tolkien
Yeah,
or
yeah. Oh my gosh, Tolkien.
maybe Robert Jordan. I mean, his books are long because they have so many subplots, but and so many different character threads. But yeah, okay. Is it mostly like one character or one group of characters who you follow?
Yeah, I think so for the most part. I don't have a lot of like following different groups. There's a little in the Fifth Sun series, it's told from two points of view. So for
Okay,
that, you might be in two different places for some of it, but you know.
not too much trouble with like all these different characters in different
Yeah,
places. But yeah, that can make a novel a lot longer. Yeah, having
yeah, yeah.
an ensemble cast. Um, what was it like doing two narrators? Is it hard to like switch back and forth and get yourself in the mindset?
I don't no, go away, Andy. Sorry, my brother's calling me. Anyway,
No
um,
worries.
no, it was good. It was interesting, but the reason, because I hadn't actually done alternating, or no, I have. I lied. My fantasy series, I kind of dance around, but a little bit. But this one specifically was kind of more getting into each character specific rather than I don't describe it. Anyway, it was fine. It was fun. It gave you more terrain, I guess, and more perspectives to write from, which I think was a good thing. And I think just because I knew the characters so well, it actually was easier than I thought it would be to write from their different points of view.
Okay, that's good. That's awesome. I mean, knowing your character is a big part of doing fiction well. I mean, even in what we would call, young adult genre commercial fiction, you still want to have well-developed characters who kind of drive the story. So that's really cool. So you know your characters well, and you move fast paced. So yeah, awesome. Um, so hey, so anyone out there, if you want fun, fast paced fantasy, this is the place to come. So keep that in mind. Um, is there maybe something you've learned from writing, or just maybe a writing tip you can offer that for aspiring authors that most people overlook or may not know?
I mean, it's hard because I feel like there's so much good advice out there and help. Like I really even if you're like a fly by the seat of your pants type of writer, I do still think having even the bare bones of an outline is a good idea, just some direction. It'll save you so much time with rewrites and editing and ugh. So I still think that's a really good idea, even if you're like, I'm not, a planner or a plotter. Um, I would still recommend it. The other thing, which is maybe not super writing specific, is more the mental preparation for like publishing your book. Because I feel like you work so hard on it. Obviously, you think you have an amazing idea, you love your story. And sometimes I think, writers go out there, publish their book, and they're like, I'm gonna sell tons of copies and do so well, and then that doesn't usually happen as much as you might want, and
Yeah.
you might just think like, oh, no one likes it, and it's, oh, what a waste of time, a terrible book. And that might not be the case at all. It's just, to mentally prepare for like, this is the game, it's how it works.
Mhm.
So just keep going.
Good advice. I did want to ask you about your publishing process. We can get back to that in a minute. But yeah, I know we have that mindset of making it big, and it doesn't always happen. At least, if it does, it's not overnight usually. Yeah. Um, Sarah in the comments asked about is curious when the audiobook of Revenge de los Muertos comes out, or if you have an idea of the timeline there. She said she's super excited.
I'm excited. It's all recorded and it's with the audio engineer. So we're hoping November. It'll come out this
Okay,
coming November, hopefully.
very
So
soon.
soon.
Okay, very soon. Cool. Well, let's look out for that. I'll ask you again later just so everyone's clear, but like where do you have your audiobooks? Like, can people find them through your website?
They will be. So this is the first audiobook I'll have out there.
Oh, cool.
Um, and so yeah, this one will be available wide, so like you can hopefully request it from your library and get it wherever you listen to audiobooks.
Wow, okay. Very cool. Yeah, we'll come back to that because I definitely want to give you a chance to promote it and tell everyone where to find your works if they haven't already. I think I put your website in the chat description too, but we'll say it again before the end of the video. But I wanted to ask you, I guess we'll shift gears and keep asking questions, keep making comments in the chat. This is great. But can you tell us about your publishing process? First of all, did you do self-published or traditional? And how did you navigate that? How did you know which path was best for you? How did you figure some of that out? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I'm self-published. I started out with like querying, the
Yeah,
traditional
yeah. Mhm.
and I did that with the first book of my first series. And after like a couple years of just no one was really interested. And it's also hard too because they're looking at the market, they're a business. So if you didn't write something that they think is gonna be like a trending topic in like 2 years, then they're not going to be that interested a lot of times.
It's
And I just felt like, I gave it time, but I just felt like, well, I worked so hard on it. I don't see why I should just throw it away
you
and move
shouldn't.
on, and so I just went back and figured out more editing on my own and how to do covers, how to do all this stuff. And I published it on myself. And then, and then I tried that, I think, for the first book in the next series. And again, and I'm not surprised, it was kind of a niche story. And so I did it myself. And also I kind of started figuring out how much more freedom and control you have when you self-publish.
What I've
You
been
kind
hearing. Yeah, you retain
of,
more of the profits. I mean, the downside is you have to do more work, like I guess all the work yourself.
yeah.
But I know, I mean, with even traditional publishers, they want you to do some of the work these days of self-promotion. I mean, again, unless you're like Stephen King or something and you already have a reputation and your work speaks for itself, you've gotta do a lot of that hustle. So I get it. No, that's a wise decision. Um, did you like when it comes to editing, did you hire an editor? Did you hire a cover designer, or did you figure out some of that out yourself?
So for my cover design, my brother does graphic design and stuff. So he helped me out with that. I take a paper and I sketch out my idea and I,
Cool.
put little arrows of what it's supposed to be because I'm not an amazing artist. And then he kind of takes that and puts together the cover. So that was fortunate for me because he could help me with that. And then also because at first, like I couldn't afford to hire all the different editors and all the different cover designers and all this stuff that
Yeah.
it's expensive and I just couldn't afford it. So for editing I had to figure that out myself. Like I went through it so many times. I had beta readers to try and
Yeah.
help me.
Yeah. No, I know, and I've stumbled through that, or I've wondered about that myself when it's like you wanna, you wanna take the effort to make it good, but if you're not successful yet, how do you have the money and stuff like that to
Yeah.
spend on this? Um, I know, I mean, professional editors are not cheap, and they're worth it because they're professionals,
Mhm.
but they're still not cheap. If you have they charge by the word, and you have 100,000 word or more novel, it's a lot. So I get that. Now, beta readers are a great place to go. Is your brother like does he have like a does he do graphic design for other people, or is he just kind of helping you out on the side? I want to promote him too if he needs it. Yeah.
Yeah, he has like a company called like Stale Jive, which is so random to me. But anyway, but I know like right now he's on a pause, but he does like for companies like the Carolina Surf brand and like coffee shops. Like he'll work with them, working with
Oh,
logos, web design, stuff like that. So he does do it, but not
I,
necessarily
yeah.
books.
I was just thinking if he was doing other authors, I was going to refer them to him. But if it was more so a one-time thing for his sister, that's fine. That's cool. I'm
Yeah.
glad you have that. That's a cool
Yeah,
connection.
I mean, I think he does a good job. So I'm
Yeah,
like, hey, might as well offer this. So
yeah, awesome. Yeah, I know we talked about self about how you mentioned your publishing mentality and how you don't necessarily you know when you publish, especially self-published, it's not like you're an overnight sensation. It's not like you're a national bestseller right away. I mean, hopefully you made some progress, but you're prepared. You don't have. I mean, I think you've done decently, but it's not like it's not like you're an instant success from just being public. Like that's the goal. And I know many of us have thought that, and of course we have to get out of that mentality. But like maybe at one time it was true that once you publish, you're like, oh, your book's out there, people know you, but
Yeah.
it still takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it does. And I just see authors sometimes, like their debut and they're so excited about it, and then it publishes and then they feel so let down. And I'm like, this is normal actually. Like it doesn't mean it's not good, just wait it out.
Yeah, but I saw like at least one post you had put like you found a local bookstore with some of your books in it, and you mentioned getting them into libraries and stuff. So I mean those are at least signs of some success, right?
Yeah, I'm excited because trying to get into libraries and making that connection is great. And then with the local bookstores, finding out if they're open to self-publish, because I will say that's changed, because there are some, they were not interested in self-published authors, anything like that. They were even kind of suspicious of like small press or whatever. And that has changed so much, over the years. And now they're recognizing like, actually, there's a lot of really good books out there, and so they're more open to it. And that's great because, I mean, people that go into a bookstore are there to look for books.
Right,
So
right.
it's the best place to sell your book. So if you can get it into like local bookstores, I mean, I think that helps a lot.
Oh, for sure. That's great. I was going to ask, do you, just, I'm kind of wondering, like, what have you done as far as marketing, engaging the audience, self-promotion, that kind of thing? I know it's not everyone's strong suit, but it's part of the game now, for better or for worse. So what have you done in that front?
Yeah, I'm on, well, for most of it's social media. Like I'm on, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, like, Pinterest, whatever. I'm on all the things and I try to stay active and posting and all of that. It's kind of exhausting, but it works just enough to keep you doing it.
Yeah, no, I'm in that boat too, and I haven't even published yet. I'm trying to build an audience for I'm hoping to start querying in the new year, and I'm hoping to kind of build an audience now. But I'm like, it's a lot to keep up with. I realized to myself, like, I'm old school. I mean, not really, but I graduated high school over 10 years ago, and I realized like Facebook is pretty much the one place I go for my personal social media, like just for me to actually socialize. The rest of the social media that I have, I started them mostly to promote and connect with authors and stuff.
Yep. And then
So,
of course these apps keep changing and then I have to relearn it. And I'm like,
and you have to get on the new thing. And I like there was a time I said I wouldn't do TikTok, and then I was like, okay, I'll give it a try because that's where people are. And I'm on there. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right, but yeah.
Yeah, I just, it's kind of like almost like just throwing something at a wall and seeing what sticks to
Right,
someone.
right. Yeah, but it's a battle of getting your name out there. I mean, I work now for a nonprofit, but I work kind of adjacent to their marketing team. So I have learned a few things. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means. I've learned a few things from my work and just listening to like podcasts of some of the marketing experts talk, and it's playing the long game. It's getting your name out there. Again, it's unless you're like the 1% who gets lucky, it's not an overnight sensation. Or they say, you work hard for 5 years, 10 years, so then you can succeed overnight or whatever. But yeah, that's what it is. But you're on the journey. You're doing it. And for audiobooks, did you also, I guess, hire someone like you found a professional person to go to?
Yeah, that I had to hire people for. I don't know if I like the sound of my voice enough and if I could do a good enough job to do it myself and figure all that out. So, but I will say that worked out through TikTok.
Oh, cool.
Because there are people that are, they're trying to be audiobook narrators and they're on TikTok. And they're like, yeah, and they're like, well, we need material to show people what we can do. And so they're like started collaborating with like authors, so I had some of them just read little snippets from my books. And from that, I kind of was like, oh, I like how you, whatever. And then you work out how to work together. And so
Cool.
that was a surprising connection that happened over
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Well, I think your voice sounds fine, but
No,
it's still
thanks.
getting, yeah, still got to go with the professionals sometimes. No, it's it's rare to have one person who can do all. I mean, maybe two. Like if you're a writer, you're probably not also a graphic designer, and if you are, you're probably not also an audiobook narrator. So I get it, but no, those people are all out there. I just recently joined Instagram, and I mean, because someone also told me, I think it was the last guest I had on here, H stat. She told me like that's a good place to go to connect with authors and stuff, and I have like lots of people immediately reaching out to me and being like, "Hey, can I review your book?" and all this stuff. And I'm like, my book isn't even finished yet. I'm just trying to build an audience, but those people are out there, ready and eager to help. I mean, again, you get a lot of requests, or there's many of them trying to get into the industry just like we are. So you may have to filter through to find the ones you want to work with. But that's really cool. Okay. So yeah, will you do audiobooks or will they do them for your other books too? You said this is your first one coming out.
Yeah, this is the first one. We'll see how it goes. I have a lot of people that have said like they're too busy to sit down and read, and they are more into audiobooks. And so
Mhm.
they're like, I'd like to read your stories, but I'm an audiobook person these
What's the
days.
trend these days? I mean, not just for you, but for all books. That's a
Yeah.
lot of people going in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean, hopefully it does well, and I'd like to, at least finish that series because I think that would drive me nuts to only have one audiobook for and not finish the series. So I would like to, but all this stuff, it'll take time just because it's pretty expensive,
That
but
makes sense.
ideally.
Yeah. Okay, good. Where are your books available? I know people can go to your website, which is what, talisjones.com, or is it
Yeah, it's like talisjonesofficial.com.
okay.
Talis Jones was taken.
There's gotta watch out for those Talis Jones knockoffs out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
my book.
yeah,
What?
sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I was just gonna say having a last name having like a common last name is not always a good thing for you there, but yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. I was gonna say my books are they're available on Amazon, of course. And right now that's pretty much the only place unless it's one of the local bookstores that
Uh,
has it, or a library.
you're
And
you're in North Carolina, South
yeah,
Carolina?
North Carolina.
Okay, so if you live in North Carolina, go check them out. Just curious, do you know like how many bookstores have them or how far it's reached?
Right now they're at 2 bookstores because I just started doing it this year to
Awesome.
because I looked, like I said, I looked before and I just was like, well, they don't want them, whatever. And then I finally thought, you know what, I should check again. And now their policies are kind of changing. So I have them in 2 bookstores. They're like one in Davidson, North Carolina, one in Kannapolis, North Carolina. And there's a few more on my list to go down and reach out to. And,
Cool. That's awesome. Okay, well, yeah, you hear folks. If you're out in those cities, North Carolina, check out Talis's books. I think I told you I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Virginia, but I live in Texas now. So, I don't know if I'll be passing through North Carolina anytime soon, but I'll try to keep an eye out if I do. Sarah said, as a busy mom, audiobooks are so great for getting reading in. So I know a lot of people are trending that way. Especially moms, working people who have a long commute to work, which I guess is maybe less common than it used to be with COVID, but and people working from home, but still, it's a good option to consider. So yeah, that's awesome that you're doing that. Okay, I have a few more questions. So we're not finishing this moment, but we're maybe we're starting to come to the end. So any more questions or comments for Talis, put them in the chat. We'll hear from you and hear some of her wisdom and experience. I wanted to ask, what do you have in the works like currently or for the future? You mentioned some possible things you're thinking of for the future. It sounds like you're not done with your wedding career by any means. So like, what else is brewing from Talis?
what I'm working on right now is like a sort of space opera sci-fi
Cool.
book.
I
So
am immediately interested.
yes, I know.
I'm a big Star Wars guy, so
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to do that, and it's sort of inspired by The Little Mermaid, and
okay.
and I like that because most people are like, that sounds insane.
Mhm.
And no, there's not going to be fish in space.
I was
Um,
thinking, I mean, obviously there are water plants in space, but sorry, go ahead, explain it.
no, it's good. It's like it's just I'm just saying it's usually most people just take it literally like there's mermaids floating in space, and I was like, no.
Okay.
So it
So,
won't be that literal and
yeah,
it's just
but
inspired.
some of the themes and some of the character types or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds interesting. I mean, I'm a space opera guy. Okay. Do you know like title, timeline, anything, or is it too far ahead to say?
Yeah. I want it to come out in this. Ideally it would be ready for sometime in the spring next year,
Okay.
but we will see. I am going to be trying to wrap it up the draft with the NaNoWriMo this year.
Okay, cool. When you
So
say next year, you mean 2023?
yeah,
So
2023.
spring is still like only 6 months away or something like that. Uh,
Oh,
I'm sorry for trying. But, no, that's cool. I mean, I guess some of that's also about being at your own pace because like if it was a big publisher, I feel like you couldn't guarantee anything like that in the next 6 months. But if you're at your own pace and I mean, if you have the time to write and edit and design it, and you've learned through experience about how long these things take, then you can say things like that. So that's
I'd
cool.
like to. We don't know. It might be pushed to the summer, but
Yeah. But hey, 2023 space opera
yeah.
from Talis. Okay, no title yet. I'm just curious.
I don't know. Right now, the title I have for it is The Silent Siren.
Okay.
So that's where it's at right now, but we'll see.
Okay, keep us posted. Yeah, we'll check back at I guess your website and other places too to figure that out. Tell us, where can people follow you and your work online if they've heard about you today and they want to know more? And I know you mentioned all these different social networks. Can you give us your handle on most or all of them, the ones that you're active on?
Yeah. So you can find all the links on my website. So that's kind of the hub. But
TalisJonesOfficial.com.
yep. And like my handle is usually like at Talis Jones or at Talis Jones Official if the other one was taken. But yeah, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and then like Pinterest and Goodreads and BookBub and all that other stuff. But
Okay, on Facebook you have like an author page as well as just your personal account.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I did that too. I think I've put the website name here in the chat or here in the video description, but if you didn't see it for whatever reason, TalisJonesOfficial.com, and then just search for Talis Jones on whatever networks you're on, and you'll find her. And go to Amazon, look for her books, or go to North Carolina and look for her books. But Sarah said she thinks the Silent Siren idea sounds so fun. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah, I don't see any more questions from anyone in the chat. So we had a good discussion. Anything else you want to say, Talis, for the people watching at home? Any last shouldn't say any last words, but any last minute thoughts or whatever.
No, just, thanks for watching and listening and potentially reading my books. So, oh, and if you read, if you could leave a review, that would be wonderful.
It makes an author's day to have a review left, or I mean, I assume just have someone reach out to you on social media and say, hey, if they liked it.
Yeah.
So yeah, please do that. I mean, especially in the era of because people trying to make connections and trying to try to build an audience. If you liked it, reach out and let them know. So that's always a good thing to do. Okay, well, Talis, thanks so much for being here with us today. Thanks everyone at home for watching and listening and all that stuff, for being here with us today and just learning more about the journey of authorhood. You can like my page, Samuel N. Harris, for future discussions and content for writers, or sign up for my mailing list at the Chippermaker link in the description there. When you sign up, you'll get a free sample of Fractured Heroes, which is my story and a few of my favorite scenes that I think you'll enjoy. And of course, go check out Talis's work too at her website, on social media, Amazon, wherever you find books. So thank you for watching today, everyone. Thank you, Talis, for being here with us. Have a great weekend and keep writing, keep doing your thing. Bye.
Bye.